Heather Locklear has always been a captivating presence in Hollywood, and now she's shedding light on a surprising chapter from her early acting days, a date with none other than Tom Cruise. The Melrose Place alum, now 62, opened up about the unexpected evening they shared when both were just starting their illustrious careers. At 90s Con Florida over the weekend, Heather reminisced about their encounter, taking fans back to a time when two future stars were just figuring it all out. The story begins in the 80s, at a time when Heather and Tom, also 62, were young, ambitious actors auditioning for roles in a highly competitive industry. "We both did an audition for the film together," Heather shared with the panel. "And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm terrible." Despite her self-deprecating humor, it's hard to imagine Heather being anything less than stellar. She couldn't resist adding a playful jab at her date for the evening. Jokingly, "He's even worse," she quipped, recalling their shared experience. The audition didn't lead to roles for either of them, but it did set the stage for an unforgettable night out. After the audition, the two decided to go dancing at Club Lingerie, a hotspot in Los Angeles at the time. Heather fondly recalled the date, noting that Tom was very nice. However, it was his dance moves that left a lasting impression on her, and not necessarily in a good way. "I've said this before, I mean, he was really cute," she admitted, "but those dance moves. I just couldn't." Heather said, reminiscing about how Tom, even back then, showed glimpses of the iconic scene he would later make famous in Risky Business, sliding across the floor with abandon. Heather added a humorous twist to her memory, sharing that she felt like a little bit older than Tom, even though they were both around the same age. "He was just like this little baby boy," she mused. Their date wasn't exactly a love match, and Heather admitted that Tom didn't quite cut it. As the self-proclaimed rock and roll girl, she found their styles didn't quite mesh during their date. Tom was the epitome of politeness, something that stood out to Heather. "He was very, yes ma'am, to me," she recalled with a smile. "And I was like, okay, sir." It was a charming but somewhat formal dynamic that didn't quite align with Heather's more laid-back personality. The night at Club Lingerie didn't lead to a second date, but it did provide Heather with a fun story to tell all these years later. Heather went on to reveal that Tom visited her at her house once, accompanied by none other than Sean Penn, and they were just nice, she shared, painting a picture of a time when these now iconic actors were just starting to make a name for themselves. Despite their friendly demeanor, the chemistry between Heather and Tom just wasn't there. "We were both new in Los Angeles at the time," she said, hinting at the sense of camaraderie that often forms between young actors trying to navigate the early days of their careers. Reflecting on their time at Club Lingerie, Heather added more detail about Tom's dance moves. "He actually did that before the movie," she said, referring to his famous scene in Risky Business. "I was dancing along like, do you stop dancing if they're down there?" She recalled with a chuckle, "I was like, yay. But he was very nice to me." While the date may not have been a romantic success, it certainly was memorable. Though their brief encounter didn't lead to romance, Heather and Tom would go on to have remarkable careers and fascinating personal lives. Heather, who has always had a penchant for the rock and roll lifestyle, experienced whirlwind romances with some of music's biggest names. She married Motley Crue drummer Tommy Lee in 1986, but the couple divorced in 1993. Not long after, she found love again with Bon Jovi guitarist Richie Sambora, whom she married in 1994. They were together until their separation in 2007, and they share a daughter, Ava Sambora, now 26, who has carved out her own space in the entertainment world. Tom, on the other hand, has had his fair share of high-profile marriages. His first was with Mimi Rogers from 1987 to 1990. He then wed Nicole Kidman in 1990, and the pair adopted 2 children, Isabella and Connor. They were one of Hollywood's most glamorous couples until their split in 2001. Tom's third marriage was to Katie Holmes in 2006, with whom he shares a daughter, Suri, now 18. Their marriage, which ended in 2012, was frequently in the spotlight, adding another layer of intrigue to Tom's storied personal life.